Norris wins for the first time in Formula One!
Once upon a time, Lando Norris was Formula One's golden boy, a cheeky, meme-loving, fast-driving fan favourite who could do no wrong. But fast forward to today, and somehow he's become one of the most hated drivers on the grid. So, what happened to Lando Norris? Back in 2019, when Lando made his debut with McLaren, we couldn't get enough of him. He was young, relatable and funny. Unlike some of the more serious drivers, Lando was relaxed and full of energy. He made F1 feel approachable, and that's what drew most people in. On social media, he was everywhere, streaming on Twitch, cracking jokes, and interacting with fans like a regular guy. It felt like he wasn't just a driver, he was one of us. I remember watching his streams and thinking, this is so cool. An F1 driver just playing video games and joking around like any of us would. It was different, refreshing, and exactly what the sport needed. His friendship with Daniel Ricciardo in 2021 was another thing we all loved. Watching them laugh and mess around felt like a real-life buddy comedy. It was fun, and it showed a lighter side to the often serious world of F1. He also had a bromance with Max Verstappen, which was also fun as the two seemed to really like each other. But Lando wasn't just about jokes and memes, he was fast. On the track, he was one of the most exciting young drivers. He was the underdog, the guy we all wanted to see succeed. And honestly, it felt like his first championship win was just around the corner. Lando made everyone believe that with his talent and his attitude, he could go all the way. But all of a sudden, he began to change, and not in a good way. Most people didn't notice at first, but it became much more visible as time passed.
Just stop! You've got to try to race.
Lando Norris is still an insanely talented driver. You don't just luck your way into being McLaren's golden boy or scoring podiums in Formula One, but the Lando we see now, he's not the same Lando everyone loved just a couple of years ago, and honestly, it's kind of sad to watch. If you've been keeping up, you'll know Lando has been involved in some questionable moments on track recently. For instance, during the Austrian Grand Prix, Max Verstappen and Lando collided, costing both drivers valuable time and ultimately the win. Although many defended Lando and blamed Max for moving under braking, naturally he was really angry after the whole thing and may have taken things too far. In an interview after the race, Norris went on to say he did nothing wrong and that Max was the one in the wrong, and then followed up by stating he gave a fair, respectful, on-the-edge battle.
I don't know what I'm going to say. I did all I could. I gave a fair, respectful, on-the-edge battle.
But that's not what I got in return. Not just that, but following Verstappen's victory at the 2024 Brazil Grand Prix, where he came from 17th on the grid, Lando made remarks mentioning that he thought the Red Bull team got a bit lucky and that there was no talent in their strategy calls. Lando had all the right to be angry then, but saying such a thing about his friend shows just how much he's changing, and not for the better. This is not actually the only time something like this has happened. Lando's aggression has gone up a notch, actually scrap that, several notches, and not in a good way. During the Monaco Grand Prix, he ignored yellow flags and got penalised. Now, if you know Monaco, you know that's a rookie mistake. You can't afford slip-ups like that on a track where overtaking is basically impossible. But what really got under people's skin was his reaction. Instead of holding his hands up and saying, "Yeah, that's on me," he just brushed it off like it wasn't a big deal. And let's not forget about the Hungary fiasco. Team orders. This one left us all watching at home feeling as though we wanted the sofa to swallow us and save the second-hand embarrassment, and managed to get into the lead of the Grand Prix before being undercut by Lando, much to his frustration. The team then ordered him to let Oscar past, as it was the fair thing to do given that the team had allowed the undercut to even happen in the first place. Lando wasn't happy about this, which I can understand, as who in their right mind ever wants to give up the lead of the Grand Prix, and made his opinion clear over the radio for us all to see. The constant back and forth with the team continued lap after lap after lap before finally letting Piastri through on the 68th/70th lap. Only once he'd made it clear to the team that he was the faster of the two during the second stint. As you can imagine, McLaren and F1 fans exploded, calling him selfish, calling him arrogant. Honestly, it was hard to defend him on this one. What's worse though is how he talks after the races. Old Lando was funny, self-depreciating, and a bit awkward in the best way. The new Lando is defensive. He blames the car, the team, the weather, anything but himself. And look, I get it. F1, it's a high-pressure world, and when things go wrong, you're desperate to explain why. But the way he's been going about it, it's just not the vibe. The thing is, fans aren't mad about the mistakes. Every driver messes up, even the greats, Lewis, Max, Seb, they've all had their moments. What's frustrating with Lando is how these mistakes, they keep piling up. And instead of owning them, he just seems to double down. It's like he's forgotten what made people love him in the first place. His humility, his charm, and that sense that he was just like us, except living the dream. Right now, it feels like he's trying too hard to be someone he's not. Whether it's pressure from McLaren, trying to keep up with the likes of Verstappen, or just his own frustration, it's hard to say. But the Lando we're seeing on track now, it's miles away from the Lando we all used to root for. So, where does Lando go from here? That's the big question everyone's asking. He's clearly still one of the most talented drivers on the grid, no one's disputing that. But talent alone isn't enough to win fans back, especially in a sport where your personality and image matter almost as much as your lap times. Let's start with the elephant in the room. Despite his recent excuses and defensive comments, McLaren have just won the Constructors' Championship, and in theory, they already have the fastest car this year. The issue, however, is whether Lando can capitalize on this. With his growing ego and tendency to point fingers if things go wrong, fans are questioning if he has the right mindset to deliver when it counts. Another issue is his image. Lando used to be the guy everyone rooted for, no matter what team they supported. Now he's dangerously close to becoming a polarizing figure, and that's not a great spot to be in, especially when you're still at the beginning of your career. If he wants to turn things around, he's going to have to do some serious damage control. The only good news is that Lando is still young. He has time to course correct and remind everyone why they fell in love with him in the first place. But the clock is ticking. The F1 world is fickle, and if he keeps rubbing fans the wrong way, it's only going to get harder for him to recover. At the end of the day, Lando's story isn't finished. He's had his rise and his fall, and now he's at a crossroads. Will he bounce back and reclaim his spot as one of the most beloved drivers on the grid, or will he fade into the background, remembered more for his antics than his achievements? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to win everyone back. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit subscribe. See you in the next video.